Are you finding challenges in social studies? Worry no more. From ancient trade routes to modern civic duties, the Central Province Grade 9 Social Studies Mock is more than just a test. It's a tool, guide, and gateway to conquer the 2025 exam. Welcome to our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for taking time to revise with us. If you have not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, I encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos like this one. In this video, we are going to revise through the Central Province Grade 9 Social Studies Mock Exam for 2025. I'm going to answer all the questions except for questions from question 1 to question 6 of Section A, as I do not have the map that was used. With that out of the way, let's get started. Question 7. Which of the following is not the main crop grown by subsistence farmers in Zambia? A. Cassava, B. Cotton, C. Lentils, D. Sorghum. The correct answer is C. Lentils. Let's break down each option and explain why. A. Cassava. Cassava is a major staple crop for subsistence farmers in Zambia, especially in northern regions. It's drought-resistant, grows well in poor soils, and provides a reliable source of carbohydrates. We can conclude that cassava is definitely a main crop. B. Cotton. Cotton is grown in Zambia, but it's primarily a cash crop, not a subsistence crop. However, many small-scale farmers do grow cotton to sell and earn income, especially in eastern and southern provinces. We can conclude that cotton is important, but not grown mainly for food, still common among smallholder farmers. C. Lentils. Lentils are not widely grown in Zambia by subsistence farmers. They're not a traditional crop in Zambian agriculture and are rarely found in local diets or farming systems. Legumes like beans and groundnuts are far more common. We can conclude that lentils is correct answer, and it's not a main crop grown by subsistence farmers. D. Sorghum. Sorghum is a traditional staple crop in Zambia, especially in drier regions. It's used for food and brewing and is valued for its drought tolerance. We can conclude that sorghum is definitely a main crop. Therefore, the final answer is C. Lentils. Because lentils are not traditionally grown or consumed widely by subsistence farmers in Zambia, unlike cassava, sorghum, or even cotton as a cash crop. Question 8. One of the effects of rural-urban migration on urban centers is A. Clean environment, B. Family split up, C. Few educated people, D. Overcrowding. The correct answer is D. Overcrowding. Let's unpack each option and explain why. A. Clean environment. This is not typically an effect of rural-urban migration. In fact, the opposite often occurs. Rapid population growth in urban areas can lead to poor sanitation, pollution, and strain on waste management systems. Therefore, option A is incorrect. Migration tends to worsen environmental conditions, not improve them. B. Family split up. This is a social effect, but it primarily affects rural families, not urban centers directly. When individuals migrate to cities for work or education, families may be separated, but this is more of a consequence for the rural origin than for the urban destination. Therefore, option B is relevant, but not a direct impact on urban centers. C. Few educated people. This is misleading. Urban centers often attract more educated individuals seeking opportunities, and cities tend to have higher concentrations of schools, colleges, and skilled workers. If anything, rural areas may suffer from a brain drain, not cities. Therefore, option C is incorrect. Urban areas usually gain educated people, not lose them. D. Overcrowding. This is the most direct and visible effect of rural-urban migration on urban centers. As more people move into cities, housing, transport, healthcare, and other services become overwhelmed. Informal settlements and slums may grow, and infrastructure struggles to keep up. Therefore, D is correct answer. Overcrowding is a major urban challenge caused by migration. Final answer, D. Overcrowding. It's the clearest and most direct impact of rural-urban migration on urban centers. Study the table below and answer questions 9, 10, and 11. Towns, latitude, altitude, mean annual temperature, degrees Celsius, annual range, degrees Celsius. Town A, 8 degrees south, altitude 1,632, mean annual temperature 19 degrees Celsius, annual range 4 degrees Celsius. Town B, 18 degrees south, altitude 948, mean annual temperature 22 degrees Celsius, annual range 11 degrees Celsius. Question 9. Why does Town A experience lower mean annual temperature than Town B? Town A experiences a cold current. B, is influenced by a cool wind. C, is on a higher altitude. D, is near to the equator. Correct answer is C, is on a higher altitude. Let's examine of each option. A, experiences a cold current. Incorrect. Cold ocean currents affect coastal areas. There's no indication Town A is coastal or near a cold current. B, is influenced by a cool wind. Too vague. While winds can affect temperature, the data shows altitude is the more significant factor here. C, is on a higher altitude. Correct. Town A is at 1,632 meters, while Town B is at 948 meters. Higher altitude equals cooler temperatures due to thinner air and lower atmospheric pressure. D, is near to the equator. Incorrect. Being closer to the equator usually means warmer temperatures, not cooler. Town A is at 8 degrees south, which is closer to the equator than Town B, 18 degrees south. Question 10. The reason Town B experiences a bigger annual temperature range than Town A is because of A, altitude, B, latitude, C, longitude, D, relief. Correct answer is B, latitude. Let me explain each option. A, altitude. It's not correct. Altitude affects overall temperature, not the range. Town A is higher but has a smaller range. B, latitude. It's correct. Town B is at 18 degrees south, farther from the equator than Town A, at 8 degrees south. Areas farther from the equator experience greater seasonal variation, hence a larger annual temperature range. C, longitude. It's not correct. Longitude affects time zones, not temperature variation. D, relief. It's not correct. Relief affects local climate patterns, but not directly the annual temperature range. Question 11. The height above sea level of Town A is A, 948 meters, B, 19 meters, C, 1,632 meters, D, 11 meters. Correct answer is C, 1,632 meters. Here are my explanations of each option. A, 948 meters. Incorrect. That's the altitude of Town B. B, 19 meters. Incorrect. This is the mean annual temperature of Town A, not its altitude. C. 1,632 meters. Correct. Clearly stated in the table. D. 11 meters. Incorrect. This is Town B's annual temperature range, not altitude. Question 12. Which of the following crops are grown by both commercial and subsistence farmers in Zambia? A. Cotton, maize, tobacco. B. Cotton, maize, wheat. C. Cotton, tobacco, tea. D. Cotton, tobacco, wheat. The correct answer is A. Cotton, maize, tobacco. Let's break down each option and explain why. A. Cotton, maize, tobacco is correct. Cotton, grown by both small-scale and large-scale, especially in eastern and southern provinces. It's a cash crop with strong market demand. Maize, Zambia's staple food, grown by nearly every subsistence farmer, and also on a commercial scale for milling and export. Tobacco, cultivated by smallholder farmers and commercial estates, particularly in Eastern Province. It's a major export crop. This combination reflects crops that are both widely accessible and economically viable for farmers at all levels. B. Cotton, maize, wheat is incorrect. Wheat, primarily grown by commercial farmers due to the need for irrigation and mechanization. It's not common among subsistence farmers. Cotton and maize are correct, but wheat makes this option incorrect. C. Cotton, tobacco, tea is incorrect. Tea, grown mainly in northern province, such as estates near Mbala and Kasama, but it's not a subsistence crop. Requires specific climate and infrastructure. Cotton and tobacco are valid, but the inclusion of tea excludes small-scale farmers. D. Cotton, tobacco, wheat is incorrect. Again, wheat is the issue. It's not grown by subsistence farmers due to its high input requirements. Cotton and tobacco are fine, but the inclusion of wheat makes this option incorrect. Question 13. Which of the following factors is not the challenge faced by the manufacturing and processing industries? A. Cost of raw materials. B. Competition. C. Transport. D. Communication network. The correct answer is D. Communication network. Let's break down each option to understand why. While not perfect, communication is not considered a major challenge compared to other factors. A. Cost of raw materials. This is a major challenge. Many industries rely on imported raw materials, which can be expensive due to tariffs, fuel costs, and currency fluctuations. Even locally sourced materials may be costly due to limited supply or inefficient production systems. B. Competition. Local manufacturers face intense competition from imported goods, especially cheaper products from countries with advanced industrial systems. This affects pricing, market share, and profitability. C. Transport. Transport remains a significant challenge due to poor road networks, limited rail infrastructure, and high fuel costs. Delays and damage during transit can affect production timelines and increase costs. D. Communication network. Correct. In Zambia, communication infrastructure, especially mobile and internet services, has significantly improved over the years. Most manufacturing industries can access mobile networks, email, and internet platforms for coordination, marketing, and logistics. So while all other options represent real obstacles for Zambia's manufacturing sector, communication networks are relatively stable and accessible, making D the correct choice. Question 14. In 2022, the government carried out population census. The next population census is expected to be carried out or conducted in A. 2042, B. 2037, C. 2032, D. 2027. The correct answer is C. 2032. Here's the reasoning for each option. A. 2042, incorrect. A 20-year gap is far too long and not aligned with Zambia's census cycle. B. 2037, incorrect.
A 15-year gap is also inconsistent with Zambia's established 10-year census schedule. C. 2032 is correct. Zambia conducts a population census every 10 years. The last census was conducted in 2022, so the next one is scheduled for 2032. This 10-year interval is standard practice globally, allowing governments to track demographic changes, plan infrastructure, and allocate resources effectively. D. 2027, incorrect. This would be only 5 years after the 2022 census. While some countries conduct mid-decade surveys, Zambia's full census is typically done every 10 years.
Question 15. What do we call scientific study of ancient remains? A. Linguistic. B. Anthropology. C. Archaeology. D. Written records. Correct answer, C. Archaeology. Let's look at each option. A. Linguistic. Focuses on the structure, history, and use of language. Deals with phonetics, syntax, semantics, and language families, but not material remains. B. Anthropology. Broadly studies human societies, cultures, and biological evolution. Encompasses subfields like cultural anthropology, biological anthropology, and archaeology, but does not exclusively focus on excavating and analyzing artifacts. C. Archaeology. Dedicated to uncovering, dating, and interpreting material remains, tools, pottery, structures from past civilizations. Uses scientific methods, excavation, stratigraphy, radiocarbon dating, to reconstruct ancient lifeways. D. Written records. Refer to documented sources such as manuscripts, inscriptions, and archives. Serve as evidence but are not a discipline or scientific method for studying physical remains. Question 16. Dates written with letters BC after them shows A. What happened before the birth of Christ? B. The date of the event. C. What happened before God existed? Or D. What happened after the death of Christ? Correct answer is A. What happened before the birth of Christ? Let's analyze each option. A. What happened before the birth of Christ? BC stands for before Christ, marking all years prior to the traditionally assigned year of Jesus' birth. It's the foundation of the Anno Domini dating system used in Gregorian and Julian calendars. B. The date of the event. Every date inherently tells you when something happened, but BC specifically locates it relative to Christ's birth, not simply states the date. C. What happened before God existed? This misreads BC as a theological claim about God's existence. BC has nothing to do with deity existence, it's strictly a chronological marker. D. What happened after the death of Christ? Events after Christ's death are dated AD, Anno Domini, in the year of our Lord, not BC. BC counts backward from Christ's birth, while AD counts forward from that point. Even though modern scholarship often prefers BCE and CE for neutrality, BC and AD remain widely recognized for pinpointing events in the traditional Christian-based timeline. Question 17. Which clan in Undi's kingdom was responsible for the religious rituals? A. Firi clan. B. Banda clan. C. Zimba clan. D. Njobvu clan. Correct answer, A. Firi clan. A. Firi clan. In Undi's Marabi chiefdom, the Firi acted as ritual specialists. They oversaw the rain-making shrine, conducted ancestral ceremonies, and maintained cult practices that underpinned Undi's semi-divine authority. B. Banda clan. Although the Banda were one of the two great Chewa lineages, alongside the Firi, their role was primarily aristocratic and administrative. They did not hold exclusive charge of the kingdom's religious cults. C. Zimba clan. There is no record of a Zimba clan playing any part in Undi's polity. Zimba typically refers to an Ngoni offshoot, not a Chewa ritual lineage within Undi's kingdom. D. Njoblu clan. The Njovu name appears in broader regional genealogies, but not among the two central clans, Firi and Banda, that shaped Undi's political ritual order. They held no specific shrine-keeping mandate. Beyond Undi's kingdom, the Chewa social system dispersed authority across several clans. Firi for spiritual leadership and scholarship, Banda for courtly and administrative functions, other lineages like Mpande and Mpanga managing economic roles, the Nyao society handling secret rites outside formal state structures. Question 18. Both plant and animal life began in the A. Forest, B. Mountain, C. Rocks, D. Sea. The correct answer is D. C. Here's a breakdown of each option and why D is scientifically accurate. Forests came much later in Earth's history, after plants had already evolved. They are ecosystems that support life, but not where life originated. Mountains are formed through geological processes, like tectonic activity. They are harsh environments for early life due to cold temperatures and lack of water. Rocks, while fossils and ancient microbial life can be found in rocks, life didn't begin in rocks. Rocks preserve evidence of early life, but they are not the source. The sea is the cradle of life, where both plant and animal evolution began. Question 19. Narrating or recording events that happened in the past is called A. Ancient remains, B. Prehistory, C. Anthropology, D. History. The correct answer is D. History. Here's a breakdown of each option and why D is the most accurate. X, ancient remains, refers to physical evidence from the past, such as bones, tools, or ruins. These are studied in archaeology, not used directly to narrate events. X, prehistory, refers to the time before written records existed. Events from this period are reconstructed using archaeology and anthropology. But it's not the act of narrating events, it's a time period, not a method. X, anthropology, the study of human societies, cultures, and development. It includes aspects of history, but focuses more on cultural practices, beliefs, and social structures, not specifically on narrating past events. So, when you're talking about recording or narrating what happened in the past, that's history.
Question 20. The period of 10 years is referred to as A. Century, B. Decade, C. Millennium, D. Years. The correct answer is B. Decade. Let's break down each option to clarify why. A. Century. A century is a period of 100 years. For example, the 20th century spans from 1901 to 2000. B. Decade is correct. A decade refers to a period of 10 years. For example, the years 2010 to 2020 form one decade. The term is commonly used in history, planning, and statistics to group events or trends. C. Millennium. A millennium is a period of 1,000 years. For example, the second millennium was from the year 1001 to 2000. D. Years. This is a general term and doesn't specify any fixed duration. Saying years could mean 2, 5, 20, or any number. It's too vague to define a specific period like 10 years. So when referring to a 10-year period, the precise term is decade.
Question 21. At which archaeological site in East Africa did Dr. Leakey do most of his work? A. Fort Turman. B. Olduvai Gorge. C. Rusinga Island. D. Taung. The correct answer is B. Olduvai Gorge. Here's a breakdown of each option and why B is the most accurate. A. Fort Turman. This is not an archaeological site associated with Dr. Leakey. It's not recognized in East African prehistory or paleoanthropology. B. Olduvai Gorge. Correct. Located in Tanzania, Olduvai Gorge is one of the most important archaeological sites in the world. Dr. Louis Leakey, along with Mary Leakey, conducted extensive excavations here. They discovered early human fossils, including Homo habilis, and stone tools that helped shape our understanding of human evolution. The site is often referred to as the cradle of mankind. C. Rusinga Island. Located in Kenya, Rusinga Island is known for Miocene fossils, including proconsul, an early ape. While the Leakeys did work here, it was not their primary site and not where they made most of their discoveries. D. Taung. The Taung site is in South Africa, famous for the Taung child fossil discovered by Raymond Dart. It's unrelated to Dr. Leakey's work, which focused on East Africa. So Olduvai Gorge stands out as the central site of Dr. Leakey's groundbreaking work on early human ancestors.
Question 22. Which two explorers met at Ujiji in 1871? A. Dr. de la Cerda and Dr. David Livingstone. B. Henry Morton Stanley and David Livingstone. C. Robert Moffat and David Livingstone. Or D. Francis Collard and Father DuPont. The correct answer is B. Henry Morton Stanley and David Livingstone. Here's the reasoning behind each option. A. Dr. de la Cerda and Dr. David Livingstone. Dr. Francisco José de la Cerda was a Portuguese explorer who died in 1798, long before Livingstone's time. They never met. B. Henry Morton Stanley and David Livingstone. Correct. In 1871, the American journalist and explorer Henry Morton Stanley was sent by the New York Herald to find the Scottish missionary and explorer Dr. David Livingstone, who had lost contact with the outside world while exploring Central Africa. They met at Ujiji, near Lake Tanganyika, and Stanley famously greeted him with the words, "Dr. Livingstone, I presume." This meeting became one of the most iconic moments in the history of African exploration. C. Robert Moffat and David Livingstone. Robert Moffat was Livingstone's father-in-law and a missionary in southern Africa. While they knew each other personally, they did not meet at Ujiji. D. Francis Collard and Father DuPont. Both were missionaries in Zambia, but they were not involved in the Ujiji meeting. Their work came later and focused on different regions. So the historic meeting at Ujiji in 1871 was between Stanley and Livingstone, marking a key moment in the European exploration of Africa.
Question 23. Why did European powers hold the Berlin Conference in 1884-1885? A. In order to get raw materials in Africa. B. To avoid conflict among themselves during the scramble for Africa. C. To find better ways of trading with Africans. D. To find the sea route to India. The correct answer is B. To avoid conflict among themselves during the scramble for Africa. Here's the explanation for each option. A. In order to get raw materials in Africa. While access to raw materials was a major motive behind colonization, the Berlin Conference itself was not held to acquire them. The conference was about managing how territories were claimed, not about extracting resources directly. B. To avoid conflict among themselves during the scramble for Africa. Correct. The Berlin Conference, 1884-1885, was convened by European powers to regulate colonization and trade in Africa. As competition for African territories intensified, the risk of intra-European conflict grew. The conference established rules for claiming territory, including the principle of effective occupation, to prevent disputes. It did not involve African leaders, and it marked the formal beginning of the partitioning of Africa. C. To find better ways of trading with Africans. Trade had already been going on for centuries. The conference was not focused on improving trade relations, but rather on dividing African land among European powers. D. To find the sea route to India. This was the goal of earlier explorers like Vasco da Gama in the 15th century. By 1884, the sea route to India was already well known and in use. The Berlin Conference had nothing to do with India. So, the Berlin Conference was essentially a diplomatic effort to prevent European wars over African territory.
Question 24. To which family of creatures did the dinosaurs belong? A. Amphibians, B. Apes, C. Mammals, D. Reptiles. The correct answer is D. Reptiles. Let's explore why this is correct and examine each option. A. Amphibians. Amphibians, like frogs and salamanders, live both in water and on land and have moist skin. Dinosaurs were fully terrestrial and did not have amphibian traits. B. Apes. Apes are mammals and part of the primate family. Dinosaurs are not mammals and are not related to apes in evolutionary terms. C. Mammals. Mammals are warm-blooded, have hair or fur, and give birth to live young, mostly. Dinosaurs laid eggs and lacked mammalian features like fur or mammary glands. D. Reptiles is correct. Dinosaurs are classified as reptiles because they share key characteristics with this group. They laid eggs, they had scaly skin, and they were cold-blooded, though some may have had partial warm-blooded traits. Dinosaurs belong to a specific branch of reptiles called archosaurs, which also include crocodiles and birds. Some dinosaurs eventually evolved into birds, but their original classification remains reptilian.
Question 25. Which of the following tool was associated with the early Stone Age period? A. Bow and arrow. B. Cleaver. C. Hose. D. Microwaves. The correct answer is B. Cleaver. Let's break down each option and explain why B is historically accurate. A. Bow and arrow. These were developed much later during the Late Stone Age or Mesolithic period. Early humans did not have the technology or materials to create bows and arrows during the early Stone Age. B. Cleaver is correct. A cleaver is a large, heavy stone tool with a broad cutting edge. It was used during the early Stone Age, also known as the Lower Paleolithic period, for chopping meat, cutting wood, and processing plants. These tools were typically made from stone using flaking techniques and are among the earliest known human-made tools. Cleavers represent the Acheulean tool culture associated with early humans like Homo erectus. C. Hoes. Hoes are agricultural tools used for farming. Farming began during the Neolithic period, which came after the early Stone Age. Early Stone Age humans were hunter-gatherers, not farmers. D. Microwaves. Clearly a modern invention, developed in the 20th century, has no connection to any prehistoric period or early human tool use. So the cleaver is the only tool listed that truly belongs to the early Stone Age, reflecting the technological capabilities of early humans. Study the following pictures and answer questions 26 and 27. Question: the drawings in the picture were done by the people belonging to dash age. A. Early Stone. B. Late Stone. C. Middle Stone. D. Modern. The correct answer is B, Late Stone Age. Here's a breakdown of each option and why B is historically accurate. A, Early Stone Age. This period focused on basic survival tools like hand axes and cleavers. There's no evidence of artistic expression or symbolic drawings from this time. B, Late Stone Age. Correct. The Late Stone Age, also known as the Upper Paleolithic period, is known for the emergence of rock art and cave paintings. People during this time developed symbolic thinking and began expressing ideas, beliefs, and daily life through drawings and engravings on cave walls and rocks. These artworks often depicted animals, hunting scenes, and rituals, showing a more advanced cognitive and cultural development. C, Middle Stone. While there was some advancement in tool-making and early symbolic behavior, rock art was not yet common. The Middle Stone Age was more transitional, bridging the gap between basic survival and cultural expression. D, Modern. Modern art is created with advanced materials and techniques, not simple drawings on rocks or cave walls. The question refers to prehistoric drawings, which are clearly not modern. So, the Late Stone Age is the period when humans began to record their experiences visually, marking a major leap in cultural evolution.
Question 27. Which of the following does not explain the reasons for making the drawings? A, for good luck when hunting. B, for magic purposes. C, to bear more children. D, to express their ways of life. The correct answer is C, to bear more children. Let's explore each option and explain why C is the one that does not explain the reasons for making prehistoric drawings. A, for good luck when hunting. Many cave paintings depict animals, hunting scenes, and weapons. These drawings were likely made to invoke success in hunting either spiritually or as a form of preparation. This is a widely accepted interpretation among archaeologists. B, for magic purposes. Early humans believed in spiritual forces, and drawings may have been used in rituals or magical practices to influence nature or outcomes. This includes invoking rain, protection, or success in daily survival. C, to bear more children. Correct. Prehistoric drawings, especially those found in caves and on rocks, were not created with the intention of increasing fertility or bearing children. There is no archaeological evidence linking these artworks to fertility rituals or reproduction. Now, while some cultures did have fertility symbols, this was not a common or primary reason for early drawings. D, to express their ways of life. Drawings often reflected daily activities, such as hunting, dancing, or social gatherings. They served as a visual record of how people lived, what they valued, and how they interacted with their environment. So, while prehistoric drawings had spiritual, practical, and expressive purposes, the idea of drawing to bear more children doesn't align with the known motivations of early artists.
Read the following passage and answer questions 28 and 29. Availability of natural resources enables them to participate in long-distance trade. Furthermore, resources such as fertile soils, salt from the Tabwa, copper from Katanga, fish from the Bwave, ivory from the Bisa, and iron from Chishinga greatly contributed to the development of the kingdom. Question 28. To which centralized kingdom does the passage refer to? A. Bemba, B. Chewa, C. Kazembe, D. Lui. Correct answer is C. Kazembe. Why is option C, Kazembe, correct? The passage mentions copper from Katanga, salt from the Tabwa, and iron from Chishinga, all resources historically linked to the Kazembe kingdom. Kazembe was a powerful centralized kingdom in present-day Luapula province, Zambia, and parts of the Democratic Republic of Congo. It was known for its long-distance trade, especially with Arab and Portuguese traders, dealing in ivory, copper,
salt, and fish. Why not the others? A. Bemba, also a centralized kingdom but not associated with Katanga copper or Tabwa salt. B. Chewa, located in eastern Zambia and Malawi, not linked to Katanga or Chishinga. D. Lui, western Zambia, known for the Lozi Kingdom, not the resources listed in the passage.
Question 29. Where did the kingdom referred to in the passage build its capital? Correct answer, C. Mwansabombwe. Why is C. Mwansabombwe correct? Mwansabombwe was the capital of the Kazembe Kingdom, serving as the political and cultural center. It was the seat of the Mwata Kazembe, the ruler of the kingdom. The location was strategic for trade and governance near the Luapula River and Lake Mweru. Why not the others? A. Mano, not historically linked to Kazembe. B. Musumba, capital of the Luba Kingdom in Congo, not Kazembe. D. Ujiji, located in Tanzania, famous for the meeting of Stanley and Livingstone, not related to Kazembe.
Question 30. Civics is the study of our political, cultural, and economic environment and teaches us a wide range of issues. Which of the following is a political and legal issue? A. Creation and distribution of wealth. B. Electoral systems to elect leaders. C. Factors of production and trade. D. How people live and interact. The correct answer is B. Electoral systems to elect leaders. Let's break down each option to understand why B is the most accurate choice. A. Creation and distribution of wealth. This is an economic issue, not primarily political or legal. It relates to how resources are produced and shared, often studied in economics or development studies. B. Electoral systems to elect leaders. Correct. This is a political and legal issue because it deals directly with governance structures, how leaders are chosen, legal frameworks, electoral laws and regulations, and democratic processes, voting rights, representation. Civics teaches about citizenship, democracy, and the rule of law, and electoral systems are central to that. C. Factors of production and trade, also an economic issue. It focuses on land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship, key concepts in economics, not civics. D. How people live and interact. This is a social or cultural issue. It relates to norms, traditions, and community life, which civics may touch on, but it's not a political or legal issue. So, when civics explores political and legal systems, it includes topics like electoral systems, government structures, and citizen rights, making B the correct answer. Question 31. In 1961, the struggle for independence in northern Rhodesia reached its peak, and a lot of people participated in various activities such as cha-cha-cha. In which part of the country did the cha-cha-cha campaign take place? A. Muchinga and southern provinces. B. Northern and Luapula provinces. C. Northern and Copperbelt provinces. D. Western and northern. The correct answer is C. Northern and Copperbelt provinces. Here's the breakdown of each option and why C is historically accurate. A. Muchinga and southern provinces. These areas were less central to the cha-cha-cha campaign. While they contributed to the independence movement, they were not the core regions of cha-cha-cha activities. B. Northern and Luapula provinces. Northern province is correct, but Luapula was not a major center of cha-cha-cha action. Luapula was more involved in traditional leadership and trade, not frontline activism. C. Northern and Copperbelt provinces, correct. The Cha-Cha-Cha campaign was a major civil disobedience movement in 1961
aimed at intensifying the push for independence from British colonial rule in northern Rhodesia, now Zambia. It involved boycotts, protests, and sabotage of colonial institutions. The campaign was especially active in the northern province, where political activism and resistance were strongest, and in the Copperbelt, which was the industrial and political hub of the country. These regions had a high concentration of UNIP supporters, trade unions, and youth activists who played a key role in mobilizing the masses. D. Western and Northern. Again, Northern Province is valid, but Western Province, Barotsellaland, had a different political dynamic, with the Lozi leadership negotiating separately with the British. So, the Cha-Cha-Cha campaign was most prominent in the Northern and Copperbelt provinces, where political activism and resistance were strongest.
Question 32. Which feature on the Zambian coat of arms represent Zambia's fertile land? A. Hoe. B. Maize cob. C. Mine shaft. D. Pick. The correct answer is B. Maize cob. Here's a breakdown of each option and why B is the most accurate. A. Hoe. The hoe represents labor and agriculture, but not specifically the fertility of the land. It symbolizes the effort and hard work of Zambians, especially in rural and farming communities. B. Maize cob. Correct. The maize cob on the Zambian coat of arms symbolizes Zambia's fertile land and agricultural productivity. Maize is the staple food crop in Zambia and widely grown across the country. Its presence on the coat of arms reflects the importance of farming and food security and the richness of Zambia's soil. C. Mine shaft. The mine shaft stands for Zambia's mineral wealth, particularly copper mining. It reflects the country's industrial and economic strength, but not its agricultural fertility. D. Pick. The pick also symbolizes labor, especially in mining and construction. Like the hoe, it represents human effort, not the natural fertility of the land. So, while tools like the hoe and pick reflect Zambia's hard-working spirit, it's the maize cob that directly represents the fertile land and agricultural abundance.
Question 33. Which of the following is a characteristic of democratic governance? A. Elections are not free and fair. B. Opposition parties cannot be formed. C. People are made to vote for one party during elections. D. Respect for rule of law and human rights. The correct answer is D. Respect for rule of law and human rights. Let's break down each option to understand why D best reflects democratic governance. A. Elections are not free and fair. This is a feature of authoritarian or corrupt systems, not democracy. In a democracy, elections must be free, fair, and competitive, allowing citizens to choose their leaders without coercion. B. Opposition parties cannot be formed. A healthy democracy allows for multiple political parties, including opposition. The presence of opposition parties ensures checks and balances and gives voters real choices. C. People are made to vote for one party during elections. Forcing people to vote for one party is a sign of dictatorship or one-party rule, not democracy. Democratic elections are voluntary and pluralistic, with multiple candidates and parties. D. Respect for rule of law and human rights, correct. In a democracy, the rule of law ensures that everyone, including leaders, is subject to the law. Human rights, such as freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, and the right to vote, are protected and upheld. Democratic governance promotes accountability, transparency, and citizen participation in decision-making. So the defining feature of democratic governance is respect for rule of law and human rights, making D the correct answer.
Question 34. A good citizen is one that is proud of his nation and will show his pride in many ways, like wearing national colors during national sports events. Which one of the following is not a quality of a good citizen? A. Honesty and integrity. B. Loyalty to their country. C. No respect for human rights. D. Sense of patriotism. The correct answer is C. No respect for human rights. Let's break down each option and explain why C is the one that does not reflect the qualities of a good citizen. A. Honesty and integrity. These are core values of good citizenship. A citizen with honesty and integrity contributes to trust, fairness, and accountability in society. These traits are essential in leadership, public service, and community life. B. Loyalty to their country. Loyalty reflects a citizen's commitment to national values, laws, and development. It includes supporting national efforts, defending the Constitution, and promoting unity. C. No respect for human rights is correct. A good citizen must respect the rights and freedoms of others, including equality, dignity, and justice. Disregarding human rights leads to discrimination, abuse, and social injustice, traits that go against the principles of responsible citizenship. This behavior undermines democracy, peace, and national unity. So, while honesty, loyalty, and patriotism are all hallmarks of good citizenship, lack of respect for human rights is clearly not.
Question 35. The qualification of Zambian citizenship that requires one to apply to the Citizenship Board of Zambia after living continuously for 10 years is referred to as A. Adoption, B. Birth, C. Descent, D. Registration. The correct answer is D. Registration. Here's a breakdown of each option and why D is the most accurate. A. Adoption. Adoption refers to a child being legally taken into a family, not a method of acquiring citizenship through residency. It may lead to citizenship indirectly, but it's not the process described in the question. B. Birth. Citizenship by birth applies to individuals born in Zambia to Zambian parents or under specific legal conditions. It does not require an application after 10 years of residence. C. Descent. Citizenship by descent is granted to individuals born outside Zambia, but whose parents or grandparents are Zambian citizens. It's based on lineage, not residency or application. D. Registration. Correct. Registration is the process by which a non-Zambian adult who has lived in Zambia continuously for at least 10 years can apply for citizenship. This is handled by the Citizenship Board of Zambia, which reviews applications and grants citizenship based on legal criteria. It's a formal legal pathway for naturalization, often used by long-term residents who have integrated into Zambian society. So, the correct pathway for someone who has lived in Zambia continuously for 10 years and wishes to become a citizen is through registration.
Question 36. A budget that helps to ensure that enough money comes in to cover different types of expenses is known as budget. A. Balanced. B. Family. C. Individual. D. National. The correct answer is A. Balanced. Here's a breakdown of each option and why A is the most accurate. A. Balanced is correct. A balanced budget is one where income equals or exceeds expenses. It ensures that there is enough money to cover all planned spending, avoiding debt or financial shortfalls. This type of budget is used by individuals, families, businesses, and governments to maintain financial stability. It reflects responsible financial planning, where spending is controlled to match available resources.
B. Family. A family budget refers to a budget created by a household, but it can be balanced or unbalanced. It describes who is making the budget, not the type of budget in terms of financial status. C. Individual. Like the family budget, an individual budget is made by one person. It doesn't guarantee that income covers expenses. It could be balanced or not. Again, this describes the user, not the financial status of the budget. D. National. A national budget is created by a government to plan spending and revenue. It can be balanced, surplus, or deficit depending on the country's financial situation. The term refers to scale, not whether expenses are covered. So the term that directly describes a budget where income matches expenses is a balanced budget. Question 37. What concept is used to explain the changing of a constitution? A. Amendment. B. Enactment. C. Legislation. D. Referendum. The correct answer is A. Amendment. Let's break down each option and explain why A is the most accurate. A. Amendment is correct. An amendment refers to a formal change or addition made to a constitution. It allows a country to update, improve, or adjust its laws and principles to reflect current needs or values. Amendments can be proposed by Parliament, a constitutional review commission, or through public consultation, depending on the legal framework. B. Enactment. Enactment is the process of bringing a law into force, usually after it has been passed by Parliament. It applies to ordinary laws, not changes to the Constitution itself. C. Legislation. Legislation refers to the creation of laws by a legislative body. While legislation can lead to constitutional amendments, it is not the term used to describe the act of changing the Constitution. D. Referendum. A referendum is a public vote on a specific issue, including constitutional changes. It is a method used to approve or reject an amendment, but not the concept of changing the Constitution itself. So, the concept used to explain the changing of a constitution is an amendment.
Question 38. Mary qualified to obtain her National Registration Card (NRC) in 2019. In which year was Mary born? A. 2000, B. 2002, C. 2003, D. 2005. The correct answer is C. 2003. Here's the reasoning behind each option. A. 2000. If Mary was born in 2000, she would have turned 16 in 2016, not 2019. She would have qualified for her NRC 3 years earlier than stated. B. 2002. Born in 2002 means she would have qualified in 2018, a year earlier than 2019. C. 2003 is correct. In Zambia, a person qualifies to obtain a National Registration Card, NRC, at the age of 16. If Mary qualified in 2019, we subtract 16 years from that. 2019 minus 16 equals 2003. Therefore, Mary was born in 2003. D. 2005. If Mary was born in 2005, she would have turned 16 in 2021, which is after 2019. She would not have qualified for an NRC in 2019. So, based on the legal age requirement and the year she qualified, 2003 is the only correct birth year.
Question 39. A document that contains policies, principles, ideas, opinions, and strategies of a political party is known as a Charter. B. Covenant. C. Hansard. D. Manifesto. The correct answer is D. Manifesto. Here's a breakdown of each option and why D is the most accurate. A. Charter. A charter is a formal document that defines the structure, rights, or privileges of an organization or institution. It's not specific to political parties and doesn't typically outline campaign strategies or policies. B. Covenant. A covenant is a solemn agreement or promise, often used in religious or legal contexts. It's not commonly used to describe political party platforms or strategies. C. Hansard. Hansard refers to the official transcript of parliamentary debates. It records what is said in Parliament, not the policies or strategies of political parties. D. Manifesto. Correct. A manifesto is a public document issued by a political party that outlines its policies, principles, ideas, opinions, and strategies. It is usually released before elections to inform voters about the party's plans and promises if elected. It helps citizens make informed choices and holds parties accountable for their commitments. So, the document that best fits the description, containing a party's vision, goals, and plans, is a manifesto.
Question 40. Shadrach appointed his brother as managing director when he had no qualifications. What form of corruption did he commit? A. Bribery. B. Cronyism. C. Fraud. D. Nepotism. The correct answer is D. Nepotism. Let's break down each option and explain why D is the most accurate. A. Bribery. Bribery involves offering or receiving money or gifts in exchange for favors or influence. There is no mention of money or gifts in this scenario, so bribery doesn't apply. B. Cronyism. Cronyism is favoritism shown to close friends or associates, not family members. While it's similar to nepotism, it's based on personal friendships, not blood relations. C. Fraud. Fraud involves deception for personal or financial gain, such as falsifying documents or stealing money. Appointing an unqualified relative is unethical, but it's not necessarily fraudulent unless deception is involved. D. Nepotism. Correct. Nepotism is the act of giving preferential treatment to family members, especially in hiring or promotions, regardless of merit or qualifications. In this case, Shadrach appointed his brother as managing director without proper qualifications, which is a classic example of nepotism. It undermines fairness, meritocracy, and professionalism in institutions. So Shadrach's action is best described as nepotism, since it involves favoring a family member over qualified candidates. Question 1A. Name one source of energy that is non-renewable. There are many sources of energy that are non-renewable. Some of these are coal, petroleum, oil. The above answers are correct because 1. These sources cannot be replenished within a human timescale. Once used, they take millions of years to form again. 2. They are fossil fuels, formed from ancient organic matter under heat and pressure. 3. Their extraction and use contribute heavily to greenhouse gas emissions, making them environmentally unsustainable. Question 1B. State 2 advantages of using solar energy as a source of energy power. There are many advantages of using solar energy as a source of energy power, and some of these are 1. Environmentally friendly. Solar energy produces no pollution during operation. 2. Renewable and sustainable. The sun is a perpetual source, making solar energy reliable long-term. 3. Reduces electricity bills. Once installed, solar panels can significantly lower energy costs for households and businesses. The above answers are correct because 1. Solar energy helps combat climate change by reducing reliance on fossil fuels.
2. It's especially useful in rural or off-grid areas where traditional electricity infrastructure is lacking. 3. Maintenance costs are low and technology is improving rapidly. Question 1C. Name one institution dealing in power and energy in Zambia. The answer is 1. ZESCO Limited, Zambia's main electricity utility company responsible for generation, transmission, and distribution, which is regulated by 2. Energy Regulation Board, ERB, regulates the energy sector, ensuring fair pricing and safety standards. The above answers are correct because 1. ZESCO is a state-owned enterprise and the backbone of Zambia's electricity supply. 2. ERB ensures that energy providers comply with national regulations, protecting consumers and promoting efficiency. Question 1D. State 3 advantages of hydroelectricity power over other forms of energy. There are many advantages of hydroelectricity power over other forms of energy. Some of these are 1. Renewable, uses water, which is naturally replenished through the water cycle. 2. Low operating costs. Once built, hydro plants are cheap to run. 3. Clean energy, produces no direct emissions, making it eco-friendly. 4. Reliable base load power, can generate consistent electricity unlike solar or wind, which depend on weather. The above answers are correct because 1. Hydroelectricity is ideal for Zambia due to its abundant rivers and rainfall. 2. It supports grid stability and can be scaled to meet demand. 3. It also allows for water storage and flood control, offering multiple benefits beyond energy. Question 1E. Give 3 challenges faced by the textile and manufacturing industries in Zambia. There are many challenges faced by the textile and manufacturing industries in Zambia. Some of these are 1. Unreliable electricity supply. Frequent power outages disrupt production. 2. Limited access to finance. Many firms struggle to get loans for expansion. 3. Competition from imports and informal sector. Cheap imported goods undercut local products. 4. Low technological adoption. Many SMEs lack access to modern machinery and internet. The above answers are correct because 1. These challenges reduce productivity and competitiveness. 2. The textile sector has declined sharply despite its potential to create jobs. 3. Addressing these issues requires policy support, infrastructure investment, and capacity building.
Question 2A. Mention 2 other names for slave trade. Slave trade is also called transatlantic slave trade, triangular trade, or human trafficking as it is referred in modern days. Let me elaborate more on the above terms. Number 1. Transatlantic slave trade refers to the forced movement of Africans across the Atlantic Ocean to the Americas between the 16th and 19th centuries. Number 2. Triangular trade describes the 3-part trade route between Europe, Africa, and the Americas, forming a triangle on the map. It involved the exchange of goods, enslaved people, and plantation products. Number 3. Human trafficking is a modern term that reflects the forced movement and exploitation of people, which historically applied to slavery. Question 2B. Mention 3 continents involved in the trade. The 3 continents which were involved are Africa, Europe, and America, including both North and South America. What happened in these continents? Africa was the source of enslaved people, captured and sold by local traders. Europe provided manufactured goods such as guns, textiles, and organized the trade.
America received enslaved Africans to work on plantations producing sugar, cotton, tobacco, and other goods. Question 2C. Slave trade was conducted in 3 stages. Explain the main stages of this trade. Here is a brief explanation on the stages of slave trade. Stage 1. Outward passage. European ships carried goods, guns, alcohol, and textiles to Africa to trade for enslaved people. Stage 2. Middle passage. Enslaved Africans were transported across the Atlantic Ocean to the Americas under brutal conditions. Stage 3. Homeward passage. Ships returned to Europe carrying plantation goods such as sugar, cotton, tobacco produced by slave labor. The answers above are correct due to the fact that, number 1, this trade formed a triangular route connecting 3 continents. Number 2, the Middle Passage was notorious for overcrowding, disease, and high death rates. Number 3, the system was designed to maximize profit, exploiting human lives for economic gain.
Question 3. Read the passage below and answer the questions that follow. In Zambia, the date of elections was announced by the president. Chikamba Chishma woke up early in the morning to prepare himself to go and vote. He carried the necessary documents required in the voting process. Chikamba quickly went to the place where he was registered to cast his vote. Question 3A. What is the day of elections called? The answer is polling day. In Zambia, the day when citizens cast their votes in an election is officially referred to as polling day. It is a designated public holiday during general elections to allow eligible voters to participate without work-related barriers. Question 3B. State the time when voting begins and ends. The correct answer is voting begins at 0600 hours and ends at 1800 hours. According to the Electoral Commission of Zambia, polling stations open at 0600 hours and close at 1800 hours. However, voters who are already in the queue by 1800 hours are still allowed to vote until the queue is cleared. Question 3C. Which 2 documents did Chikamba Chishma carry to enable him to vote? The correct answers are 1. Green National Registration Card, NRC, 2. Voter's Card. These are the 2 essential documents required to verify a voter's identity and eligibility. Without both, a person cannot vote, even if registered. Question 3D. What is the name given to a place where registered voters go to vote? The correct answer is polling station. A polling station is the official location where registered voters go to cast their ballots. Each voter is assigned a specific polling station based on their registration details. Question 3E. Who is in charge of the place mentioned in question D above? The correct answer is presiding officer. The presiding officer is appointed by the Electoral Commission of Zambia and is responsible for managing the polling station, ensuring procedures are followed, and maintaining order during voting. Question 3F. The minimum age for a qualified voter in Zambia is? The correct answer is 18 years. According to Zambia's Constitution and Electoral Act, any Zambian citizen aged 18 or above with a valid NRC is eligible to register and vote. Question 3G. State 2 reasons for the importance of free and fair elections. The correct answers are 1. They uphold democracy by allowing citizens to choose their leaders freely. 2. They promote peace and stability by ensuring that election outcomes reflect the will of the people. Free and fair elections are essential for legitimizing government authority, protecting human rights, and preventing conflict.
Question 1A. Describe the 2 methods used to mine minerals in Zambia. First, I will write a full article. Thereafter, summarize it. Let's get started. Methods of mineral mining in Zambia.
Zambia is rich in mineral resources, particularly copper, which has played a central role in the country's economy for decades. To extract these valuable minerals, two primary mining methods are commonly used: underground, or shaft mining, and open-pit mining. Underground, or shaft mining, is employed when mineral deposits lie deep beneath the Earth's surface. This method involves sinking a vertical shaft into the ground until the ore body is reached. Once the shaft is established, a network of tunnels is created to follow the seams of the ore. These tunnels allow miners to access and extract the minerals efficiently. To transport the extracted ore to the surface, lifts or hoists are used. Some shafts in Zambia reach depths of over 1,000 meters, showcasing the extensive effort required to access deep-lying mineral deposits. This method is particularly common in the Copper Belt province, where most of Zambia's copper reserves are located underground. Open-pit mining, also known as strip mining, is a surface mining technique used when minerals are located closer to the Earth's surface. It involves excavating large cuts into the ground and working around the edges of the pit. The overlying rock and soil are removed to expose the mineral seams. This method is especially useful for extracting coal and other building materials, such as sand, gravel, clay, and granite. It's considered safer and more cost-effective than underground mining. In Zambia, open-pit mining is practiced in several major mines including Chambeshi, Lumwana, and Nchanga. Together, these two mining methods enable Zambia to harness its mineral wealth efficiently, each suited to the depth and type of resource being extracted. Now, let's summarize it like this. Methods of mineral mining in Zambia. Zambia uses two main methods to extract its rich mineral resources, especially copper: underground or shaft mining and open-pit mining. Underground mining is used for deep-lying minerals and involves sinking shafts and creating tunnels to reach ore bodies. It's common in the Copper Belt region and can reach depths over 1,000 meters. Open-pit mining is a surface method used for minerals near the ground. It involves large excavations and is safer and cheaper. This method is used in mines like Chambeshi, Lumwana, and Nchanga. Both methods help Zambia efficiently access and benefit from its mineral wealth. Question 1B. Explain why the government has been promoting the increase in mineral production in recent years. It carries 4 marks, so at least we should raise 4 or more points. First, I will write a full article, thereafter summarize it. Let's jump on it. Why the government has been promoting increased mineral production in recent years. In recent years, the Zambian government has actively promoted the growth of mineral production due to its significant impact on national development. Minerals such as copper, cobalt, and gold are not only valuable resources, but also powerful drivers of economic transformation. One major reason is that mineral production creates employment. Mining companies hire thousands of workers, from engineers and technicians to drivers and cleaners, helping reduce unemployment and improve household incomes. Additionally, mining activities stimulate infrastructure development, including roads, railways, and power supply. These facilities not only support mining operations, but also benefit surrounding communities by improving connectivity and access to services. Minerals are a key source of foreign exchange, as they are exported to international markets. This boosts Zambia's currency reserves and strengthens its position in global trade. Mining also leads to the development of towns, especially in regions like the Copper Belt, where urban centers have grown around mining operations. These towns become hubs of economic and social activity. Furthermore, minerals serve as raw materials for manufacturing industries, supporting sectors like construction, electronics, and energy. This creates a ripple effect across the economy, encouraging industrial growth. The mining sector contributes significantly to the gross domestic product, also known as GDP, making it a cornerstone of Zambia's economic performance. Increased production means higher national income and more resources for public investment. As mining expands, it drives broader economic development, including the construction of roads, railways, and communication networks that benefit both urban and rural areas. The government also recognizes that mining can support the development of social amenities, such as schools, hospitals, and housing, especially when companies invest in corporate social responsibility initiatives. Lastly, increased mineral production creates markets for safety clothing, mining equipment, and related services, stimulating local businesses and entrepreneurship. In conclusion, the government's push for increased mineral production is rooted in its potential to transform Zambia's economy, improve livelihoods, and build a more prosperous future for its citizens. Now, here is the summary. The government has been promoting increased mineral production because it creates jobs for many people, helps build infrastructure like roads and railways, earns foreign exchange through exports, develops towns such as those in the Copper Belt, supplies raw materials for manufacturing industries, boosts the country's GDP, drives overall economic growth, supports social amenities like schools and hospitals, and creates markets for mining gear and safety equipment. In short, mineral production is a powerful engine for national development.
Question 2A. Describe the factors affecting commercial livestock farming. 6 marks are located to this question. Factors affecting commercial livestock farming. Commercial livestock farming is a vital part of Zambia's agricultural sector, providing meat, milk, and employment to many communities. However, several challenges affect its success and sustainability. One major factor is the lack of pastures. Overgrazing, land degradation, and climate change reduce the availability of quality grazing land, making it difficult for farmers to feed their animals adequately. Scarcity of water is another serious issue. Livestock need clean and sufficient water for drinking and hygiene. In areas with unreliable rainfall or poor water infrastructure, animals suffer from dehydration and poor health. Disease outbreaks can devastate livestock populations. Illnesses such as foot and mouth disease or anthrax spread quickly and can lead to high mortality rates, reduced productivity, and financial losses for farmers. The high cost of animal feeds also affects commercial farming. When natural pastures are insufficient, farmers rely on purchased feeds, which can be expensive and strain their budgets, especially during droughts or economic downturns. Stiff competition from other farmers or imported livestock products can reduce market prices and profits. Farmers must work harder to maintain quality and find reliable buyers. In some regions, traditional beliefs discourage the sale or slaughter of livestock, limiting commercial opportunities. Cultural practices may prioritize keeping animals for status or rituals rather than economic gain. Lastly, theft of livestock poses a serious threat to farmers' investments. Cattle rustling and farm invasions lead to financial losses and insecurity, discouraging investment in commercial farming. In conclusion, while commercial livestock farming holds great potential, it faces multiple challenges that must be addressed through better infrastructure, veterinary support, and community awareness to ensure long-term success. Here's a brief summary of the essay. Commercial livestock farming faces several challenges that reduce its productivity and profitability. These include a lack of grazing pastures, water scarcity, and frequent disease outbreaks that harm animal health. High feed costs and stiff market competition make it harder for farmers to succeed. Additionally, traditional beliefs may discourage selling livestock, and theft poses a serious threat to farmers' investments. Addressing these issues is key to improving the sector's sustainability and growth.
Question 2b. Explain the negative effects of commercial farming on the environment. It carries 4 marks. Negative effects of commercial farming on the environment. Commercial farming, while essential for food production and economic growth, has several harmful impacts on the environment. As large-scale agricultural practices expand, they often disrupt natural ecosystems and contribute to environmental degradation. One major effect is deforestation, which occurs when forests are cleared to make way for farmland. This leads to the loss of trees that help regulate the climate, store carbon, and support biodiversity. The use of pesticides and chemical fertilizers in commercial farming contributes to pollution. These substances can contaminate water sources, harm aquatic life, and degrade soil quality over time. Another consequence is the displacement of wildlife. As natural habitats are destroyed or altered, animals are forced to migrate or face extinction due to lack of food and shelter. Heavy machinery, commonly used in commercial farming, compacts the soil, reducing its ability to absorb water and support plant life. This can lead to poor crop yields and long-term damage to soil structure. Additionally, commercial farming often causes soil erosion, especially when land is overused or left bare. Erosion removes the topsoil, which is vital for plant growth, and can lead to desertification in extreme cases. Finally, these practices contribute to global warming. Deforestation releases stored carbon into the atmosphere, and the use of fossil fuels in machinery and transport adds greenhouse gases, accelerating climate change. In conclusion, while commercial farming supports human needs, it must be managed responsibly to protect the environment and ensure long-term sustainability. Here's a concise summary of the essay. Commercial farming harms the environment in several ways. It leads to deforestation, which destroys habitats and reduces carbon storage. The use of pesticides and chemicals pollutes soil and water. Wildlife is displaced as natural areas are cleared. Heavy machinery compacts the soil, making it less fertile, while overuse of land causes soil erosion. Altogether, these practices contribute to global warming through greenhouse gas emissions and loss of natural carbon sinks.
Question 3a. Discuss the factors that affect population distribution. Here's an essay discussing the factors that affect population distribution. As usual, first I will write a full article, thereafter summarize it. Let's get on. Factors affecting population distribution. Population distribution refers to how people are spread across a given area. In many regions, especially in developing countries like Zambia, several key factors influence where people choose to live. One major factor is the presence of water. Areas near rivers, lakes, or reliable rainfall attract more people because water is essential for drinking, farming, and sanitation. Settlements often grow around water sources due to their life-sustaining benefits. Fertility of soil also plays a crucial role. Regions with rich, arable land support agriculture, which is a primary livelihood for many. Fertile areas tend to have higher population densities because they offer food security and economic stability. Economic activities such as mining, farming, trade, and industry attract people seeking employment and better living standards. Urban centers with diverse job opportunities often experience rapid population growth. The availability of social amenities like schools, hospitals, and recreational facilities makes an area more livable. People are drawn to places where they can access education, healthcare, and other essential services. A well-developed transport system encourages population growth by improving mobility and access to goods, services, and jobs. Roads, railways, and public transport make it easier for people to settle and commute, especially in urban and peri-urban areas. Lastly, government policy can shape population distribution through land use regulations, resettlement programs, and infrastructure development. Policies that promote rural development or urban expansion can influence where people live and work.
In conclusion, population distribution is influenced by a combination of natural resources, economic opportunities, infrastructure, and policy decisions. Understanding these factors is essential for planning sustainable development and improving living conditions. Here's a summary of the essay. Population distribution is influenced by several key factors. Areas with water sources and fertile soil attract people due to their support for farming and daily needs. Economic activities like mining or trade draw individuals seeking jobs, while access to social amenities such as schools and hospitals makes regions more livable. A good transport system improves mobility and encourages settlement, especially in urban and peri-urban areas. Lastly, government policy can shape population distribution through development plans and infrastructure projects.
Question 3b. Explaining the advantages of family planning. First, I will write a full article, later summarize it. Let's get our hands dirty. Here's the essay that explains the advantages of family planning. Advantages of family planning. Family planning plays a vital role in improving the well-being of individuals, families, and communities. It allows couples to make informed decisions about when and how many children to have, leading to a range of social and economic benefits. One key advantage is that it promotes a healthy family. By spacing births appropriately, parents can ensure better health for both mothers and children. This reduces the risk of complications during pregnancy and childbirth. Through family planning, couples can have children when they are ready, emotionally and financially. This leads to more stable households and better parenting, as children are born into environments prepared to support them. Mothers benefit economically as they have more time to pursue education, careers, or income-generating activities. This contributes to household income and empowers women to participate more fully in society. Additionally, mothers are given enough time to rest and recover after giving birth. Proper spacing between pregnancies helps restore their physical health and reduces the strain on their bodies. Family planning also ensures that parents have only the number of children they can fully support. This means better access to food, education, healthcare, and other essentials for each child, improving their quality of life. Finally, it helps prevent unplanned pregnancies, which can lead to emotional stress, financial hardship, and strained relationships. By avoiding unintended births, families can plan their futures more confidently and securely. In conclusion, family planning is a powerful tool that supports healthier families, empowers women, and promotes sustainable development. Its benefits extend beyond individual households to the broader community. Here's a clear and concise summary of the essay on the advantages of family planning. Family planning offers many benefits for individuals and families. It helps create healthier households by allowing proper spacing between births. Couples can have children when they are ready, emotionally and financially. Mothers gain time to rest and recover, and can also be more productive economically. Parents are able to support their children better, and unplanned pregnancies are avoided, leading to more stable and secure families.
We come to Part 2. Question 1. Describe the physical characteristics of the following early man. A. Homo habilis, 5 marks. B. Kenyapithecus, 5 marks. Let's start with Homo habilis. Here's an essay describing the physical characteristics of Homo habilis. Physical characteristics of Homo habilis. Homo habilis, one of the earliest members of the human genus, displayed a mix of primitive and modern traits that marked an important step in human evolution. Physically, Homo habilis looked like an ape, with a small body and long arms suited for climbing. However, he also showed features that were more human-like. His teeth, hands, and fingers resembled those of modern humans, allowing him to manipulate tools and chew a varied diet more efficiently. He walked nearly upright, just like modern man, which suggests that he had adapted to life on the ground rather than in trees. This upright posture is a key milestone in the evolution of bipedalism. In terms of size, Homo habilis was relatively small, standing at about 4 feet tall. Despite his short stature, his body structure supported mobility and survival in diverse environments.
His jaws and forehead resembled those of modern humans, showing a flatter face and reduced brow ridges compared to earlier ancestors. These features hint at the gradual development of a larger brain and more advanced thinking abilities. In summary, Homo habilis was a fascinating blend of ape-like and human-like traits. His physical characteristics reflect the transition from primitive ancestors to more advanced human forms, making him a crucial figure in the story of human evolution. Here's a precise summary of the essay on Homo habilis. Homo habilis had both ape-like and human-like features. He looked like an ape, but had teeth, hands, and fingers similar to modern humans. He walked nearly upright, stood about 4 feet tall, and had jaws and a forehead that resembled those of present-day humans. These traits show his role as an early step in human evolution. Now let's talk about Kenyapithecus. Here's a vivid description of Kenyapithecus supported by fossil evidence. Physical characteristics of Kenyapithecus. Ape-like appearance. Kenyapithecus resembled modern apes in many ways, especially in the structure of its face and teeth. Its canine teeth and jawline bore strong similarities to those of living primates. Quadrupedal locomotion. It was not capable of upright walking. Fossil evidence suggests it had macaque-like limbs, adapted for knuckle walking or moving on all fours, indicating a semi-terrestrial lifestyle. Hair-covered body. Like other Miocene apes, Kenyapithecus would have had dense body hair, offering protection and aiding in temperature regulation in its woodland or savanna-like habitat. Its robust chewing anatomy, this primate had powerful chewing muscles, a large mandible, and thick enamel on its molars, ideal for processing hard or abrasive foods like nuts and fibrous plants. Its small incisors and large premolars further support this dietary adaptation. Kenyapithecus lived around 14 million years ago and is considered a key fossil in understanding the evolutionary journey of great apes. Here's a brief summary of the physical characteristics of Kenyapithecus. Kenyapithecus. Summary. Looked like an ape and had hair all over its body. Walked on 4 legs and could not walk upright. Had strong chewing muscles, large molars, and small incisors ideal for tough plant material. Question 2. Write brief notes on the following. A. Cause of the scramble for Africa. 5 marks. B. Results of the Berlin Conference of 1884-85. 3 marks. C. Terms of the Berlin Conference. 2 marks. Here are sets of brief notes on A. Causes of the scramble for Africa. European nations aimed to protect growing trade interests with Africa. The Industrial Revolution created a demand for raw materials from Africa. Colonies were seen as symbols of national prestige and power. Africa offered new markets to sell surplus goods from Europe. Military bases were needed to secure overseas possessions. Africa was viewed as a rich source of untapped resources. Some countries wanted to resettle freed slaves in African territories. Europeans sought to replace traditional African lifestyles with Western values. B. Results of the Berlin Conference 1884-85 led to the formal establishment of European colonies across Africa. Reduced conflict among European powers by regulating territorial claims. Triggered political instability and conflict within African societies. Nations could no longer claim African land without physical occupation, troops, or infrastructure. C. Terms of the Berlin Conference created a free trade zone in the Congo Basin. Nations had to notify others when claiming coastal territories or protectorates. King Leopold II was granted control over the Congo Free State, addressed humanitarian concerns, especially those linked to the slave trade. Required proof of effective control to legitimize territorial claims. Declared the Niger and Congo rivers open for international navigation. Called for the abolition of the slave trade and promotion of African welfare. Only financially stable nations could establish colonies and had to inform others. Colonial boundaries were to be defined through formal treaties. Now note that as you write, make sure that each summary is written in a designated part on the page provided. A. Causes of the scramble for Africa. European powers wanted to protect trade, gain raw materials, and find new markets. Colonies were pursued for prestige, military bases, and resettlement of freed slaves. Africa was seen as a source of resources and a place to spread Western culture. B. Results of the Berlin Conference 1884-85 led to the division of Africa into European colonies, reduced conflict among European nations by regulating territorial claims, caused political instability within African societies, required physical occupation to claim territory. C. Terms of the Berlin Conference created a free trade zone in the Congo Basin. Nations had to notify others when claiming territory and prove effective control, aimed to end the slave trade and promote African welfare. King Leopold was given control of the Congo. Colonial boundaries were to be defined through formal treaties. Now note that as you write, make sure that each summary is written in a designated part on the page provided.
Question 3. Write briefly on the following. A. Economical organization of the Ngoni people, 5 marks. B. Political organization of the Ngoni people, 5 marks. Here's a brief overview of the economic and political organization of the Ngoni people. On this one, I will go direct to the summary, so let's get it on. A. Economic organization of the Ngoni people. The Ngoni were versatile in their economic activities, much like the Chewa. They practiced farming, pastoralism, and hunting. Their livestock included Ngoni cattle with long horns, as well as goats and sheep. They relied on mixed farming, cultivating crops such as millet, maize, pumpkins, cassava, tobacco, and groundnuts. To strengthen their economy, they also engaged in cattle raiding, which was more frequent than land-based warfare, and served as a strategic means of acquiring wealth. B. Political organization of the Ngoni people. The Ngoni had a centralized and well-structured political system. Authority was held by the chief, whose power over the people was absolute and unquestionable. He also served as the commander-in-chief of the impis, military units organized into battalions, further divided by age groups under the leadership of colonels. Their military efficiency and organization contributed to their success in raids and conquests. Even today, during the Nchwala ceremony, Ngoni impis wear animal skins and carry spears and shields, preserving their cultural heritage.
We come to part 3. Question 1A. What are the qualifications for one to be the Republican president in Zambia? 5 marks. B. Explain the functions of the Republican president in Zambia. 5 marks. Let's go. Qualifications and functions the Republican president of Zambia. Let's start with A. Qualifications for presidency. In Zambia, the Republican president is elected through general elections held every 5 years. To qualify for this esteemed position, a candidate must meet specific constitutional requirements. Firstly, the individual must be a Zambian citizen and at least 35 years old. Good moral standing is essential, so the candidate must be of good character. Political backing is also necessary, meaning the candidate must be supported by a political party. Literacy is a key requirement. The candidate must be literate and conversant with the official language, which is English. Additionally, both parents of the candidate must be Zambians by birth or descent, ensuring strong national roots. Lastly, the candidate must have resided in Zambia for at least 20 years, reflecting a deep connection to the country and its people. Now here's a concise summary. Qualifications for the Zambian president. To become president in Zambia, a candidate must be a Zambian citizen with Zambian-born parents, be 35 years or older, have lived in Zambia for at least 20 years. Be literate in the official language. Be of good character. Be supported by a political party. Now, let's dive into question. B. Functions of the President. The President of Zambia holds a powerful and multifaceted role. As the head of state, the President represents the nation both locally and internationally. Simultaneously, as head of government, the President oversees the administration and policy direction of the country. This includes issuing instructions to ministers and civil servants to ensure smooth governance. In matters of national security, the President serves as the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, with the authority to appoint commanders of security forces. Politically, the President can nominate up to 8 members of Parliament, declare a state of emergency, and dissolve Parliament when necessary. Each year, the President opens the first session of the National Assembly, setting the tone for legislative priorities. The President also plays a ceremonial role by giving awards to citizens who have served the nation well, and holds executive power to appoint or dismiss senior government officials, ensuring accountability and leadership within public service. Now, here's a precise summary. Functions of the Zambian President. The President acts as head of state and head of government, commands the armed forces, appoints security commanders and senior officials, can nominate up to 8 MPs, declare emergencies, and dissolve Parliament, opens Parliament annually, and gives national awards.
Question 2A. Explain the relationship between the local and central government. It carries 5 marks. B. What are the sources of revenue for councils? It carries 5 marks. Here's the essay. Later, I will write a short essay. A. Relationship between local and central government. In Zambia, the relationship between the local and central government is structured to ensure coordination and oversight in governance and development. The central government exercises administrative control over local councils, guiding their operations and ensuring national standards are upheld. All development schemes and plans initiated by local councils must be approved by the central government, ensuring alignment with national priorities. The central government also holds legal authority to compel councils to perform specific duties, especially when public welfare is at stake. In extreme cases, it can even dissolve councils that fail to function effectively. Local governments are not independent entities. They are creations of the central government, operating under the supervision of the Ministry of Local Government and Housing. Through parliamentary acts, the central government defines the structure and powers of local councils, including the creation of city, municipal, and district councils. When local councils face financial or logistical challenges, such as the inability to hire heavy machinery, the central government may step in to assist, ensuring that development projects proceed smoothly. This relationship ensures that while local councils manage community-level affairs, they remain accountable to the central government for broader national goals.
Here's a brief summary. Relationship between local and central government. Local councils operate under the authority of the central government, which controls them through administrative and legal powers. The central government approves development plans, can compel councils to perform duties, and may dissolve them if necessary. Councils are created by acts of parliament and are overseen by the Ministry of Local Government and Housing. When councils lack resources, the central government may provide support.
B. Sources of revenue for councils. Local councils in Zambia generate revenue from various sources to fund their operations and services.
One key source is business undertakings, such as operating taverns, bottle stores, motels, and nursery schools, which provide income through fees and profits. Another important source is the personal levy, a small tax collected from all residents who are employed within the council's jurisdiction. This helps councils maintain public services and infrastructure. Additionally, councils earn revenue through land rates, which are fees paid by individuals or businesses that use land or plots owned by the council. These rates contribute significantly to the council's budget and are essential for local development. Together, these revenue streams enable councils to deliver essential services such as waste management, road maintenance, and community development programs. Here's a short summary. Sources of revenue for councils. Councils raise funds through running businesses like taverns, motels, and nursery schools, charging a personal levy on employed residents, collecting land rates from users of council-owned plots, and obtain land rates. These are from people who use pieces of land or plots owned by the council. Thank you for watching.
We come to question 3. A. Explain the types of constitutions. This question carries 4 marks. B. Why is the Constitution important? And this question carries 6 marks. Here's the essay, and I will directly summarize the essay. A. Types of constitutions. A constitution is a set of guiding principles that outlines how a country should be governed. It defines the structure of government, the rights of citizens, and the legal framework within which laws are made and enforced. There are 2 main types of constitutions. Written constitution. This type is documented in a single formal text that clearly outlines the rules and principles of governance. It provides clarity and consistency in legal interpretation. The Zambian constitution is a prime example of a written constitution, offering a comprehensive guide to the country's legal and political structure. Unwritten constitution. Unlike the written form, an unwritten constitution is not contained in a single document. Instead, it is based on customs, traditions, conventions, and various legal precedents. Countries like the United Kingdom operate under an unwritten constitution, relying on historical practices and judicial decisions to guide governance. We come to question 3B, importance of the Constitution. The Constitution holds immense significance in any nation for several reasons. Supreme law of the land. It is the highest legal authority. Any law that contradicts the Constitution is considered invalid and must be amended to align with constitutional principles. Structure of government. The Constitution defines the roles, powers, and responsibilities of different branches of government. It also outlines how laws are made, ensuring a balanced and transparent system. Protection of human rights. It guarantees fundamental rights and freedoms to individuals, groups, and communities. No law may infringe upon these rights, making the Constitution a shield against injustice. Citizens' responsibilities. Alongside rights, the Constitution also clarifies the duties and responsibilities of citizens, promoting civic awareness and accountability. Vision and ideals. A constitution serves as a national compass, inspiring unity and progress. It reflects the values and aspirations of a country, guiding its development and governance.